Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Purnam Supripraj Kacharya Stotra Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai Anant Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Shikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kunradha Kunigiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamana Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Ekendra Prabhu, for a wonderful soul-stirring kirtan. And thank you to all the devotees who have very kindly joined on this wonderful evening to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam. His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj has been giving this Bhagavatam lecture series now for a couple of months, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on this channel. And it's very fortunate that we're able to take advantage of his presence here in Towaco. And the consistency is really helping us to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, every other day of the week. It's really wonderful. And the interactivity is very much appreciated. All the devotees have got a chance to express their questions and their comments. So we would like to thank you, Maharaj, for spending so much of your valuable time with us and for giving us this incredibly precious nectar. So for those of our members who are just now visiting or just now getting onto this channel, we have a methodology of question and answer where you can you can unmute your microphone if you'd like to say something during the question and answer time, or you can raise your hand, or you can type in your question in the comment or the chat box. Any one of those avenues will work. If you have your display name, you're allowed to change your display name to something more recognizable if it's not clear, like if it's a phone number or it just says iPhone, just if you like. And if you like, you may also turn on your camera or not, whatever you're comfortable with. So with that, we'll pass the microphone to Maharaj.
Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtatitesh Tarane. Vanchakolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Obeisances to Apurva and Kamalini and Purushartha Prabhu and any other God brothers, God sisters who may be here. Did I see Swami Krishi?
I think Swami Krishi Prabhu is also there, yes.
Obeisances. And my respects to all. And let's jump in. We're at, by the way, 125. The Shukadev Goswami has begun by condemning materialistic life in which there are so many useless topics engaging one's attention. Shrotavyadni Rajendranranam Santi Sahasrata Sahasrashaha Apashyatam Atmatatvam Griheshu Grihamedina. So many useless topics for those who are blind to self-realization. Such persons spend their nights in sleeping or sex, their days in seeking out money or spending money to maintain their families. They think that their bodies, their relatives, their wife, their fallible soldiers will somehow protect them, even though they see that these soldiers are fallible. They don't see. They still think somehow or other, I'm all right. This is the power of Maya. So now we find Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Bhayam. Give me just one moment here. Does everyone else see Madan Gopal on their screen, front and center? That's who I see. Anyway.
No, Maharaj, we see you, but let me see. I don't think anybody...
I guess it's my singular good fortune I get to see you.
I'm going to change that. For some reason, it seems to be a bug on that. Everybody else sees you. The live stream on YouTube also sees you, but somehow you see me.
It's okay. I don't mind seeing you. It's a pleasure. Okay. Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyas Chetita Bhayam. Tasmad, therefore, since everyone else is wasting their time, you shouldn't waste your time. Tasmad, the life is wasted in ignoring the real need of the soul. But you are Bharata, you're a descendant of Bharat, and you shouldn't waste your time. You've asked me, what should I hear about? What should I speak about? What should I remember? And here's my answer, that if you want to be freed from fear, it's Chata Abhayam. Abhayam means freedom from fear. Death is fearful for everyone, especially one who's on the verge of death is always in fear. Death, when will it come? When will it come? Generally, death is haunting us, but especially as it comes, if we know that it's close, then there's fear. Even death himself is another epithet of death is bhayam, fear. Yad vibheti swayam bhayam. Even fear himself is afraid of the Lord. So that fear itself is fear of death, finally. We're afraid of so many things, but the greatest fear is fear of death. We see even the animals, they're always afraid of death, afraid of death. So the human being is meant to become free from that fear. After all, what's dying but this external material body? Why should I be afraid? What is that? Jatasyahi dhruvo mrityu. For one who's born, death is certain. Why should I be afraid of death? But I am. And why? Especially because I'm identifying with this material body. Death is the extinction of everything. I lose my money, I lose my family, I lose my body, I lose everything. how much fear. And the more attached, the more fearful. So if you want to be freed from fear, either at the time of death or any time, even during our life, Prabhupada said of the 4 propensities, that's ahara, nidra, bhaya, maitunam cha. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Which one is the most prominent? We might think maitunam, sex, but Prabhupada says fear. Of these 4 concerns, fear is the most prominent. We're always trying to secure ourselves from just now this COVID virus. Fear has been rampaging through the cities of the world. People are afraid, I might die. No one says, oh, well, if I die, get COVID-19, probably die. No, let me not die. So this fear is always there, finally, fear of death. But therefore, if you want to be free from fear of death, your death is certain, then here's the answer. Shrotavya, kirtatavyascha, smartavya. The Bhagavan Ishro Harihi Sarvatma. We should hear about and glorify and remember Sarvatma, the all-pervading personality of Godhead who is present in everyone's heart, who's the soul of all souls. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, who's Ishvara, the supreme controller, and Hari, who takes away fear. Hari means one who takes away. There's no difference between remembering Krishna and being in the presence of Krishna, or chanting the holy name or glories of Krishna, and being in Krishna's presence, or hearing and being in association with Krishna. And Krishna, where there's Krishna, there's no fear. Someone quoted the other day, one of the classes, Vayandritiya binibeshita syat, ishadapaita tasya viparya smriti. Fear comes from thinking that there's something other than Krishna. Vayandritiya binibeshita. From forgetting Krishna, forgetting our relationship with Krishna, thinking that there's something other than Krishna. In other words, by forgetting Krishna, we're placed in duality, we're placed in forgetfulness, we're placed in the bodily concept of life. And by remembering Krishna, one is freed from duality, freed from anxiety, freed from all difficulties. Tasmat, therefore, one should hear about, chant about, and remember the personality of Godhead. There's a wonderful line in the purport. In the previous verse, Srila Sukadeva Goswami has described how the foolish, materially attached men are wasting their valuable time in the improvement of the material conditions of life by sleeping, indulging in sex life, developing economic conditions, and maintaining a band of relatives who are to be vanquished in the air of oblivion. That's Srila Prabhupada's frank description of society, friendship, and love. I was on an airplane, there was some movie playing, a Disney movie, and I'll spare you whatever it was, but at the end, the final vignette is that the hero is there with his wife and his children, and they're a family. And it's like this wonderful vignette. A band of relatives who are to be vanquished in the air of oblivion. Such wonderful such a wonderful group. A band of relatives, all fallible soldiers, all sure to die and sure to be forgotten. The air of oblivion literally means forgetfulness. It comes from Greek oblivion. It's a place of forgetfulness. This band of relatives will be vanquished in the air of oblivion. And this is what we're dedicating our lives to, maintaining such a band of sure to be vanquished relatives. That's not to say that one shouldn't properly execute family duties, but one should be conscious that this is my actual position. I'm surrounded by mortals, people who are going to die, and I'm also going to die. So what am I going to do about it? That's the real business of human life, to see to that imperative. And for the Gyanis, for the yogis, for the bhaktas, for everyone, the yogis, this is the perfect process. Any questions or comments so far? Gurudas, the mind is so strong that many are able to avoid thoughts of death. And the more successful one becomes in material life, the harder it is to convince a person that death is there. It is thought of as a downer, a weakness to think of death. You, Hare Krishnas, are the fearful ones, so negative. Yes, Chanakya also says that if a person wants to become self-realized, if one wants to achieve perfection, he should think that I may die at any moment. And if one wants to enjoy sense gratification, he should forget all about death. He should think, oh, what death? What? How can we enjoy sense gratification while our minds are dwelling on our imminent death? So those who are dedicated, that's why apashyatam atmatattvam. That's why pashyanapi napashyati. They see it, but they don't see it. Why don't they see it? Because they don't want to see it. They don't want to see that all of their efforts will come to nothing. They don't want to see that their beloved family is going to be plundered, vanquished by death, and dispersed. He doesn't want to see that he'll be dragged away by the power of death. He doesn't want to see all these things. Therefore, with the help of the illusory energy, he doesn't see them. I was in New Vrindavan one time. We were sitting, taking lunch prasadam, so many devotees on a lawn there someplace. And all of a sudden, a little mouse ran by. And behind the mouse, a cat. And the mouse ran this way, the cat ran that way. The mouse ran another way, the cat ran the other way. The cat's pursuing. Finally, the mouse was up against a wall. So he stood up on his hind legs. and the cat swallowed him. This is the actual situation. None of us mice can protect ourselves from the cat of death. But by Maya's arrangement, we forget. For those who are interested in words, Kendra has done the homework for us. From Merriam-Webster, oblivion was derived via Middle English and Anglo-French from Latin oblivisci, which means to forget, to put out of mind. There's an interesting meaning. How do we forget? We put it out of our mind. I was talking to a doctor who is expert in memory issues. And one reason we forget is we don't pay attention. When we're not paying attention to something, it's easy to forget. Or we're paying attention, but we put it out of our mind. Either we're not paying attention, we don't see because we're not serious, we're drunk, we're stoned, we're having a good time, we're in love, we're having sex. So we're not paying attention to death creeping up on us. Or we put it out of our mind. We know, but we don't want to know, so out it goes. Among the more literary synonyms of oblivion is Leith. How is that pronounced? Which originally referred to the mythical river, Leith. According to Greek mythology, the river flowed through the underworld and induced a state of forgetfulness, that is, oblivion, in anyone who drank its water. Poet John Milton is among those to connect the two in literature. He wrote in Paradise Lost. Far off from these, a slow and silent stream, Leith, the river of oblivion, roots her watery labyrinth. So this is it, where in the air of oblivion, all of us will be lost. We won't remember. This was my mother, this was my father, this was my husband, this was my wife, these were my children. Sometimes even in this life, one's mind is afflicted and one doesn't remember. This is my family. This is another fear even before death. Therefore, it requires focus because the Maya wants us to forget. Maya wants us to put these things out of our mind. It's so negative. Therefore, another meaning of what are we busy with? Entertainment, diversion. In French, they said divertissement. The games, sports, something to divert our mind so that we won't think of what life is really about. And there's so many topics to divert us, Shrotavyadni Rajendra. Don't think about this. And people go with it. Yeah, why should I think about this? It's just depressing. Even if they think about it and they think nothing can be done. So they become depressed, or they just want to put it out of their minds, a problem that can't be solved. But a sober person, dhira's tatranamuyati. A sober person is not bewildered. He takes on these issues and he can successfully solve these problems. It doesn't happen automatically. Okay, there's a couple more things happening in the chat box. Rasa Das. In regard to fear, we know a devotee becomes free from fear, but because he's confident that the Lord will protect him. Yes. Is it also right to say that a devotee is also fearful of forgetting Krishna and his devotees? Yes, that's the greatest fear. Prabhupada one time said that. It was quoted also, I think, in a recent class, that the problem with my disciples, my Western disciples, they're not sufficiently afraid of Maya. Oh, we should always be fearful of forgetting Krishna, forgetting the devotees, fearful that we could come under Maya's clutches. That fear is called healthy fear. Just as one should be afraid of fire, one should be afraid of poison. Not crazy afraid, but sensibly afraid. I should, as they say, respectful. We respect fire because we know its power to burn. So in that way, a sensible person, he should be very afraid of getting entangled in intoxicants, afraid of meat eating, afraid of illicit sex, afraid of gambling, afraid of materialistic association. One should be actually fearful of these things. Again, not in a crazy way, like he becomes either paranoid or just always anxious, but fearful in a sensible way. A person who's not afraid of true danger, who doesn't respect fire, who doesn't respect danger, is mad. So one should be careful that I could lose everything by forgetting Krishna. If I lose everything else and remember Krishna, my life is a success. And if I have everything and I forget Krishna, then it's a failure because I've forgotten Krishna, plus I lose everything. Tulsi Priya has a question.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Let me turn off my external speaker, sorry. So my question has to do with, so we all have our own individual fears.
Excuse me?
We all have our own individual fears.
Yes, individual fears.
You know, I'm afraid of COVID-19. I'm afraid of, old age and poverty.
Slower, then the choppiness of your audio will have less effect.
Okay.
And also, I would suggest if you can move closer to your router, if you're using a router in your home.
I don't think I could be any closer to my router.
Because that sometimes helps. But okay.
Okay. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Can you close your door? Okay. Anyways, so I have my own fears. Other people have their fears. And sometimes those intersect. And people are expressing anxiety or fear or disturbance, not just of things like forgetting Krishna, but external things like, to use an example, what's going on with the protests and the riots and police brutality and racism. And those things are very, they exist in the material world. People aren't imagining them. But I've been hearing things about, somebody will say something and somebody else, a devotee will say, well, you're not that body. And that's easy to say to somebody else. But when it hits you, it's not so easy to say because there is an immediate threat or a perceived immediate threat or a general situation that's not congenial just to living in the world. And I'm remembering a story where Prabhupada was met with a young girl and her mother, and the young girl was dying of leukemia, and she was very afraid. And she was trying to express her fear to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada kept saying to her, today you are going to die, tomorrow I am going to die. Who is not going to die? And that kept happening several times until it finally, the girl got out that she was actually afraid of Yamadutas. And then Prabhupada set her mind at ease. But prior to that, you know, it was almost like they were, and I don't mean to say this about Prabhupada, but she kept saying one thing and Prabhupada kept saying another thing, and they weren't meeting in the middle. And I feel like sometimes that's the same way when people say things trying to comfort devotees who are fearful about material threats, you know, by saying you're not this body, or just chant Hare Krishna, and the person who's afraid doesn't feel heard, and the person who's trying to reassure doesn't feel like, I mean, let's put it this way, I don't say that to people, but sometimes I want to, and when I feel like people don't hear that, I feel like that's all I have to offer. I can't get sucked into your fear also.
Well, there's two things here that I'm hearing, if I'm not wrong. One is psychological issues. Everybody's got their own collection of fears. And then there's communication issues. I remember I went to see Gyanagamya Prabhu, my godbrother. Actually, it turned out to be just a few days before he passed away. And I'd been cued in that he'd lost interest in living, which I thought was good, actually. At that point, he was in Mayapur and ready to go. And at some point, I was talking with him, and he said, "I'm so tired." And I was trying to understand what he meant. What does that mean? Tired of living, tired of this. Finally got it across to me. I'm really tired. Don't need to talk to me anymore. I'm tired, literally. So sometimes we don't hear. We hear what we think, but not what is. So therefore, hearing, it's a skill, how to hear from others, what their concerns are, what their issues are, and so on. I don't think we have to go into that very deeply. And there's also, just since you touched on it, we have so many fears, irrational fears, childhood fears, fears that have no basis, no grounding, or just a fearful mentality. There's a nice story in Chaitanya Charitamrita when, I think it was the Patan soldiers, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had become unconscious in ecstasy. And just he was traveling with a few companions. There was a Rajput and some Bengalis and a group of close devotees. And all of a sudden, these Patan soldiers, like Afghani soldiers, came on the scene, and they sauced it out that you people have poisoned this sannyasi, and it must be you're trying to plunder him. So they were ready to arrest the whole batch of them. And the Bengalis were like trembling, what's going to happen? And the Rajput devotee, he said, "I have 100 men in the woods ready to come out at my command." He intimidated the soldiers. He had nothing, but he took a fearless position. "I have men out there. You're surrounded," essentially. So there are different people. Some people are by nature heroic, fearless. And others by nature are downright cowardly, or else just not so heroic. Some minds are more plagued by fear, all sorts of fears, rational, irrational. Their mind is sort of rehearsing all the things that could happen. This could happen to me, that could happen to me, this could happen to me, that could happen to But for everyone, whether we're full of fears, we're fearless, this is the recommended path. Just hear about Krishna, speak about Krishna, remember Krishna. Is that all right?
Yes. Just a brief follow-up. Do you think rather than just kind of spitting out, "You're not that body," or just chant Hare Krishna, to maybe make it a little more personal and say,
Everything's up to you at the particular time. But of course, if we hear from people, that usually we get more receptivity to what we want to say. We hear from them what they're, that's, what is that probably? Guya Makyati Prichyati, they reveal their minds, we reveal our minds. So when we hear from people, then we can speak to them appropriately.
Right. So really listen.
Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu probably gave the example that he was sitting patiently hearing from the Mayavadi sannyasis, and then he gave his explanation. So Prabhupada said when we were speaking to the students, he was talking about preaching to college students. We can hear from them, whatever their nonsense is, and then we speak.
Thank you.
Tina, you have a question or two?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandavat pranams. You know me so well. I do have a couple of questions.
This phone is supposed to be silent. There's nothing I can do about this. Okay, just carry on.
So.
Oh, I see. I can mute this. Yes, I'm sorry.
No, thank you. So my question is three-pronged, if you don't mind. So from
only one question, but it's three-pronged. Okay.
Yes, yes, 3 parts. From almost the very start of coming into Krishna consciousness, it's been banged and drilled into our heads. Sense gratification is bad. No sense gratification. It will bind you. No sense gratification. So in one sense, not that that is our goal, but it's a very important principle. And everything that you've just said, it's in one sense gratification negative.
Well,
then I heard.
Go ahead.
Then I heard. I apologize. I'm not sure if it was out of context, and I didn't really get to follow up. But I had heard Damodar Swami Maharaj once say that enjoying is okay, but it can't be your goal. And that was like, what? You can enjoy, but that can't be your goal. So I'm not sure if you could please perhaps give some context if you've heard that before, if what he meant by that. Yeah.
One time I was with Srila Prabhupada in Detroit. I'd been traveling with Satsvarup Maharaj, and we were going around to different colleges and presenting Krishna consciousness. The library party was moving around selling books, and we were giving classes. And we were sitting outside with Srila Prabhupada. And I said, Srila Prabhupada, it's so difficult to convince these students to give up sense gratification. And Srila Prabhupada said, we don't say give up, but regulate. You can't give up sense gratification. Senses have demands that need to be met. Eating, we don't say give up eating. We don't say give up sleeping. We don't say give up sex. All the demands of the senses can be addressed, but regulated. Prabhupada said sense gratification is like salt. Too much, you can't eat. And too little, and you can't eat. So regulated. In the Bhagavad Gita, Nidrahara viharasya, Yuktahara viharasya, Yukta cheshtasya karmasu, Yukta swapnavabodhasya, Yogo bhavati dukkha. One gets freed from all miseries by being regulated in eating and sleeping, in walking, in everything. So we don't say no sense gratification. That's not possible. But the sense gratification should be regulated, and it should be in relationship to Krishna. So Prabhupada said for recreation, we have dancing. For eating, we have Krishna Prasadam. You want to hear some nice topics, we have Krishna Katha. You want to see something, we have so many things to see. You want to hear drama, we have dramas. Everything should be there. But ideally in relationship to Krishna, or not ideally, actually everything should be connected. We should connect everything with Krishna. But no sense gratification is not realistic. Regulated.
Yes. Thank you. You did answer my second question, because that was related, that I heard Jayadvaita say that everything's actually gratifying the senses. Eating prasadam, gratifying the tongue, and then gratifying eating, hearing kirtan is gratifying the ears. But then to clarify what you had just mentioned, when you perhaps very straightforwardly say, people enjoying with their wives or their children, so it's not bad to, you just can't get entangled, and that cannot be your focus then?
Yeah, there's two things. Before I come back to what you just said, we have the best sense gratification. You look at what they eat, it's like, ugh. We have the best eating. We have the best books. We have the best everything. Our sense gratification is not only regulated, it's better sense gratification than they're getting. They're somehow or other trying to squeeze some sense gratification from their bewildered and miserable life, and they're working like dogs so that how can they enjoy? So our enjoyment is first of all cheap. We don't have to spend $30 on movie tickets or something. We're happy. We chant Hare Krishna, we have a little prasadam, and we're happy. So then we don't have to work so hard for sense gratification. So that's best, cheapest and best. Nice Krishna prasadam, wonderful association of devotees. So we have the best sense gratification. So then family life also means sense gratification. If possible, we avoid family life. The brahmacharis save themselves a lot of trouble by avoiding family life. But otherwise, we have regulated family life. And in that family life, there is sense gratification. That verse is there in 4th chapter, where yajna is described. Let me get a Bhagavad Gita. Usually I would have it. It's 2 steps away. There's a sort of purport written into one of the verses by Srila Prabhupada, and where Krishna is describing, it's before he says that one needs a spiritual master to sort out all these yajnas. Let's see. Shrotradin indriyanyanye samyamagni shujuvati, shabdadin vishayananya indriyagni shujuvati. Some, the unadulterated brahmacharis, sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control. That's their approach. And others, the regulated householders, sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. So the householders have sense gratification. The chief sense gratification is sex. That's allowed in family life. But it's yajna. It's not just passion. In regulated family life, there's sex. for the service of Krishna, for having Krishna conscious children. So that's counted as yajna also. As the brahmacharis are performing yajna by controlling the mind and senses and staying back from that kind of sense gratification, the householders are performing yajna by accepting the objects of the senses and doing that for Krishna's service. So family life, all aspects of family life can be dedicated to Krishna. We can enjoy the association of wife, children, but how do we do that? We have kirtan, we honor prasadam, we have Krishna katha. Those are the best enjoyments. We visit temples, we go visit holy places. The more that one can arrange one's family life in such a way that everything revolves around Krishna, everything's dedicated to Krishna, the happier the family life will be. The more we think, let me get more sense gratification, the more difficult my family life will be. Especially if we want to push it past the limits, then it will be entangling. We'll have difficulty. But if we stay on the road, then that family life dedicated to Krishna becomes a form of sacrifice. And specifically in this age, Sankirtan Yajna, the whole family can be engaged in spiritual activities for hearing about Krishna, for speaking about Krishna, for remembering Krishna. You can have a whole Sankirtan party that's just your family. So that's accepted. One of my godbrothers one time said to Srila Prabhupada, said, I don't know how I'll go back to Godhead. I'm so attached to my family. Prabhupada said, that is through Krishna. So that's all right. So everything should be connected to Krishna. There's a verse in Bhagavad Gita. It's one of those that people like to quote for me. It's one of the few verses that where you can, purports where you can find this, where Prabhupada says that there's no need to give up family life, that one can stay in the association of wife and children and be engaged in Krishna consciousness. And that's valid. Family life should be dedicated to Krishna. Or if we're not in family life, whatever sense gratification, because the body needs something, should be within the regulative principles dedicated to Krishna. Then it becomes, then yoga bhavati dukkha, one gets freed from all miseries. What is that? Yajna. When yagyartat karmanon yatra loko yam karma bandhana. If we perform our activities just for sense gratification, we'll get entangled. And if everything is dedicated for yajna, for Krishna, then no entanglement.
Thank you. That was very clear. Thank you. And if you don't mind, my last prong of the question is related to the fact that we should always be remembering Krishna. And I remember Ladini Shakti Prabhu had mentioned, and this is more of a practical question, that we should always be remembering Krishna, and yes, relating everything to Krishna. But I apologize from a very practical standpoint. If you're answering a text message, if you're going to the bathroom, I was really curious, and I apologize, I'm a little bit of a rules person and sometimes a little black and white, but how is that possible? And then is it bad, for example, say related to what your last answer, if we're walking in the park with our family and just asking how they're doing? That's not Krishna Katha. Is that considered bad? Enjoying a sunset and just saying, oh, that's so beautiful. What a beautiful sunset. Is that bad? Because we're not, you could say, yes, Krishna has created such beautiful nature, and think about how even more wonderful it is in the spiritual world and how wonderful Krishna is. But this, it's the point of every point in time. So practically, how do you apply that? And is it bad, for example, I guess enjoying those things?
Okay. Before I forget all the things you said, the first thing is one should, Prabhupada many times says, one should mold one's life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours, he won't forget Krishna. So even Prabhupada said in the toilet room, you could chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada, when he was commenting on Smarane Nakala, there's no rule, hard and fast rules. So in the toilet room, one can chant Hare Krishna. It's said that one gets the benefit, one doesn't really get the benefit of a shower just by water. One should chant mantras. Then you get the benefit. Vayabhyantara Shuchi, one becomes internally and externally purified. So one should try to arrange everything in such a way that one is always remembering Krishna. That's the first part of your question. Then we ask people, how are you doing? How's your uncle? This, so on, so many things. Prabhupada also did that. These are, in one sense, routine exchanges that we have with people, and they don't have to be artificially stopped. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. No, you could, how are you doing? How's your mom? How's your son? All of these things. That's not terrible. We can see Prabhupada's example that he wasn't fanatical, that unless it's directly a Krishna topic, I can't open my mouth. But it always brought us to the point of Krishna. Now, as to the sunset, you reminded me of something told to me by one of my godbrothers, Ray Rama, in very early days. He said to Srila Prabhupada one day, "Oh, Swamiji, there's such a beautiful sunset, come see." Like that. And Prabhupada said, as long as you're enchanted by the beauty of the sunset, you'll never go back to Godhead. Words to that effect. So that's one perspective, that we don't want to be distracted by the beauty of this, the beauty of that, the interestingness of this, the fascination of that. We want to keep our eye on the ball, as it were. We want to remember Krishna. Then there's the other side of it, that no, while seeing everything, we should remember Krishna. The sunset the rainbow is compared in Krishna book to Lord Ramchandra's bow. So we see the rainbow. Usually kids see a rainbow, or the parents, oh, see the rainbow. And then maybe there's a pot of gold and all of that kind of stuff. But no, the rainbow is Krishna's energy, and it's like Lord Ramchandra's bow. Or anything, atava bahunaitena kim gatena tavarjana. Vishtavyaham imam kritsnam ekang senastato jagat. Yad vibhuti mat sattvam shrimad urjitam eva va. Tat tadeva avagachatvam mamate jvam sasambhava. When you see anything beautiful, wonderful, powerful, then you should know this is just a spark of Krishna's energy. So the devotees can appreciate everything. I went with the youth bus tour one time to Niagara Falls, and it's amazing how much energy is there. There's this constant roaring of tons of water going over the cascading over the falls. It's quite impressive. But what is that? It's impressive because it's Krishna's energy. It's a little sample of how much power Krishna has. So we can, in all circumstances, remember Krishna, be reminded of Krishna. For one who chants seriously and has good sadhana, chanting, reading, these things will come naturally. One will naturally think of Krishna, one will naturally remember Krishna. It won't have to be forced. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you so much, Maharaj.
Okay. We have all of 3 minutes left. We can either take another question, or we can chant Hare Krishna, or we can end early. I think we can end early. We don't have to push to the last 2.5 minutes.
It'll take me a couple of minutes to make the announcements anyway.
Exactly. We'll be on time.
That's a big good. So thank you all for your participation this evening. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for an engaging conversation, and it's a very intriguing verse, and it's a gateway to the rest of the Bhagavatam. It's really, really nice. So upcoming speakers for this week, I'm just going to share my screen real quick for my poster. So this Saturday, we do not have any speakers on this channel. However, this Saturday is New York Rath Yatra. So around 11 o'clock, please join this channel to watch the New York Rath Yatra live. We'll be broadcasting from here. And then at 6 p.m. on Saturday, there will be a class by His Holiness Radhanath Swami on the Brooklyn channel. So ISKCON of New York, you can look it up on their website. They'll have some link and some information. So on the Brooklyn channel, certainly. And let me just see if we get a PowerPoint share.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I think there's programs.
Yeah.
Do you have the posters? I can send them to you if you don't.
I don't have the weekend poster for Rath Yatra.
Okay, I will send them to you.
For them, then I could share them on our
Right.
WhatsApp channels and our Facebook, etc. So, of course, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we'll continue our second Canto series with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. On Tuesday, is Govinda Prabhu from Chapati, a very famous speaker, will be speaking. And then on Thursday, His Holiness Badri Narayan Swami Maharaj will speak on the topic of Srila Prabhupada Leela. And then on Sunday evening at 6 p.m., we have first time on our channel, very wonderful devotees, Maharha Mataji and her husband Mitra Sena Prabhu, who have done a lot of preaching in the southern region of this country, the south, and they'll have some interesting stories to share. It's called Sharing Krishna in the South: Guns, Hunters, Students, and Country Folk. So a lot of interesting topics. These are dedicated disciples of Srila Prabhupada who've been preaching for decades and decades. And they're also very good storytellers. So we look forward to hearing from them on Sunday. So please make note of all these and keep joining us every evening on this Towaco channel. So on Saturday, 11 a.m., we'll have Rath Yatra. But there's lots of other programs going on, Rath Yatra related, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So stay tuned. We'll be sharing those on our various media. Okay. So thank you all very much. And if you like, you can unmute yourself real quick and say quick Hari Bol to Maharaj.
Hari Bol, Maharaj.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hari Bol,
Maharaj is here. Obeisances.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandavad. Dandavad.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandavad.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Hare
Bol.
Krishna. Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Vajrani.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandavad Pranam. Jai Shri
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Thank you so much.